the risk of doing a series is that we have to shoot everything out of order or by location. So that's a stressor in itself because it could be like even on this series here, some of the scenes in later episodes we shot first because we only had access to a certain location for a certain period of time. So shooting that way, if something happens to a certain actor or something happens to a certain location before you finish the entire series because you're shooting out of order, it can throw the entire thing off. So you're always dealing with that stressor of hoping nothing critically happens because it can almost derail an entire series like that.
Hi, and welcome back to Old School. Today we're going to have in class as our teacher, Jaron Lockridge. He is the director, the writer, the creator of House for the Broken film series. He is also the founder of Cinema Ministries, and he has taken his faith journey and his vocation, which is a police officer, and brought together some great truth and some great, just connectivity that's authentic for the community, for the world, when we're so seeking something different than just the evil and the negativity and whatever that's going down. And he has this series coming out in July, and this episode should be out prior to that with all the links and all the places you can go to support him and his series when we are all looking, and I don't think just believers, but when we're all looking for something a little more authentic, a little real, very truthful, and just from the heart. And so I am genuinely looking forward to it coming out, and I will be posting both this episode and information about that all over my social media, so you can all keep an eye on that. But let's welcome Jaron to class today.
Yeah, so I like to tell people I didn't grow up with a storybook background or anything. You know, me and my brother grew up with great parents and uh, grew up in mostly a Christian household, just going through life normal. And eventually, in high school, I needed a class. I think they were called electives at the time. I just had to have a class to fill in my schedule, and ended up taking this theater arts class. And that's when I found out that I had a joy for writing, and wrote my first stage play. Then, I mean, by that spring, I had wrote an entire stage play. Never wrote anything that massive before. I just always had a natural gift to write, and graduated high school. I knew that beyond high school, college wasn't for me. So I went straight into the workforce, and eventually that led me into law enforcement. So got into law enforcement, and that was a experience in and of itself. You kind of learn a lot about the human experience when you're doing law enforcement. You kind of see the ugliness of, of of the human race in a way because you just deal with everybody on their worst day doing this job. So yeah, went through law enforcement, and eventually I realized I needed an outlet in a way. That's one thing that they tell you in the academy is to um, find yourself an outlet, find yourself something that
I don't
you
know
love to
if you can
do,
hear me. You've frozen on my
that
end.
can get you
If
away
you
from the
need to
job, and that
exit
got me
and come
back
back
into
in,
writing and got me back
it
into
Riverside does keep
filmmaking,
running.
and eventually got me into starting my production company. Um, that my former production company, Misguided Perceptions Media Group, where I started doing a lot of feature films and series and just content like that. And recently had a point to where I got to a crossroads to where I just kind of felt like I needed to do more faith centric works, and rebranded my company to cinema ministry production, and that led me to my series now that's coming, House for the Broken. So that's a short breakdown
Sure.
of a long story. But yeah, that's kind of how my journey led to what I'm doing now. Just kind of started as an outlet for law enforcement, and now it's something that, in a way, is kind of like my full time. Beside my full time job, as I handle both careers and do them both side by side. So I like to tell people I'm a filmmaker by day, police officer by night, and it's kind of literally how it is as I go on this journey.
Well, and I do feel like, and the trailer was a teaser for sure,
Yeah.
but like it absolutely has shown how you can integrate both of those together because a lot of times I think whatever society wants to determine, right? I think the term Christian has gotten beaten up. I think
Hmm.
people are claiming that it has nothing to do with them, and it's not a judgment on my part, but
Yeah.
there are very real faith-based situations where they are not Christians. Their doctrine does not lay down with the doctrine of Christianity, but people want to claim that because they feel like it'll help them win an election, it'll help them X, Y, or Z, whatever that
Yeah.
might be.
Yeah.
Put a fish on the back of their truck and they'll sell some more stuff,
Yeah.
whatever. And
Yeah.
I have recently, I published 3 books in the last couple of years. The Lord called me to tell my story, which had a lot of abuse, young, and then a more emotional and mental abuse as I came up and went through a divorce that from infidelity and other things. I contributed by not praying about whether I should have even been with him.
Hmm.
So here we sit in 2026, and how do you talk to people about the gospel, right? Like
Hmm.
if people are already coming into church, yeah, your pastor's there and they can be sharing and you can be sharing your faith too. But we have an entire generation, couple of generations that
Hmm.
are binge watching Netflix. They're on social media, doom scrolling all the time. And it sometimes feels like that's like the worst possible place to want to
Yeah.
go share your faith or you get attacked a little bit. At the same token, I think leveraging it, and I think that's what you're doing, and you can elaborate if you'd like, but
Hmm.
I think it is the way now to get in front of people is to do it in the form of some sort of audio, video, podcast, series, something. What do you think
Hmm.
about that?
Yeah, I would say media is one of the most powerful things that we consume nowadays. It consumes so much of our life. So many people are stuck in front of either their phone, which is mostly the case, or their computer screen looking at some type of media. That media is very powerful, as we've seen in our lifetime, especially. And something else, even myself, that I'm guilty of is that you a lot of people, like you said, they claim that Christian title. Even if you go across to religions, like you look at Muslims or something, like a lot of people claim a certain religious ideology, but I would say the heavy majority don't know exactly what their religion stands for.
Mm,
A lot of people say they're Christian, but you can kind of tell just by uh, how they act, how they say things, how they portray things. You've probably never read the Bible. Like you claim this, but you don't have knowledge of what you're saying you're claiming, and a lot of that could be because they were, um, just born into a Christian family, so they could. Well, I'm a Christian because I was born into a Christian family, or um, like you said, using it for political um gain, or to gain a up with a certain group or something like that. So you have a lot of that going on. Whereas when you finally dive into the scriptures and see how a Christian follower is supposed to be, certain people don't just match up to that. And I mean, that's just part of being in a broken world. A lot of that is the issue there. So, like, I saw a space where there was a lot of um, ignorance, if I can say it that way, especially when it comes to the Christian faith. Um, that I could use media to kind of put some of that out there. And, being a black man myself, especially in my community, there is a lot of um falsehoods out there that when it comes to Christian faith, you a lot of the slavery issue, a lot of people believe that that's where it started for us, and it's just so much stuff that you can dispel and put truth to. That I'm passionate about is it just getting truth out there to people who really don't know it. Like um, I'm on the show itself. Um, I would hope that they had sent the screener because I had a screener for the entire show for you to watch, but it's a certain episode there where I go into kind of like this apologetics that kind of shows a lot of stuff about the faith that people don't know, about how we got the Bible, about a lot of falsehoods that people are coming up with nowadays about the Bible being rewritten, and the evidence showing the resurrection of Jesus. Like, it's so much stuff that you can go into that I kind of dive into on this show. And the difficult thing when, especially when you're doing a show like this, is being able to spread the gospel without hitting them over the head with the gospel. So
Sure.
that was my hardest thing. I didn't want this to be um something where I call it faith based, but when somebody watches it, it doesn't point them to the gospel. It's just entertaining. Like, they don't think about it after they watch it or nothing. So you have to find that hard line there where you can spread the gospel but not do too much at the same time. It's kind of entertain and educate in a way. So yeah, that's one way where my purpose behind my projects has shifted to. It's just trying to find that medium that where I could spread the gospel, educate, and entertain the viewers who are watching. What I want you to do after you see these shows is think, and if I can get you to think, um, I've succeeded my job at least. I just want people to think, and I'm coming with a little bit more of an edgy stance when it comes to my writing. A lot of people love that I can write like just human stories, and like I said, a lot of that comes from just personal experience. A lot of that comes from law enforcement because I've witnessed so many different situations. Like, it's nothing that I've haven't experienced yet, other than like a mass casualty event or something. That's probably about the only thing that I haven't gotten to, but we've all witnessed that, just living life in this human race. So you could even speak to that. So like, it's this way I want to bring it. I want to be authentic. I want to be real. That may be a way too edgy for some people when they see my work, but I want people to relate to the material, and that way, once you relate to them, they can relate to whatever you're bringing forth on the screen. Then you can kind of spread the gospel a little bit, and just let them think. That's mostly what I want you to do, is just think about what you saw on that screen, and if I can get you to thinking, hopefully the Holy Spirit can do the rest from there.
Well, and that's the truth is lifestyle evangelism has always been, I mean, that's what Jesus did. And
Yeah.
that's so much better. I mean, it's not that the word can't stand on its own and it's the truth.
Hmm.
I talk about my podcast as being faith based because I am, but it's not
Hmm.
a religious podcast, right?
Yeah.
I've had people on who were not Christians, and I feel genuinely by the time we were done talking, they were at least a little bit of a seeker, which
Yeah.
is what I'd like to see happen, right? I
Yeah.
feel like in this day and time, there are so many false teachers and there are so many people up, doing just like it says in scripture, tweaking the truth just a little. But
Yeah.
we're so seeking, especially after things like the Charlie Kirk assassination and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was such an insurgence, and I'm not sure that the church as a whole did a great job of like reaching out with the truth properly. I don't know. I
Yeah.
That's not, a judgment isn't a fruit of the spirit, and it's not my job. I
Yeah.
feel like you do.
Yeah.
I just keep asking the Lord, what is the best way? I don't want to sell books to make money because that isn't why most people write a book. I
Yeah.
want to sell my book and get it out there because it's my story. It's my version, and mine is edgy too.
Yeah.
I've been told that the cover of my books are bold choices,
Okay.
but I haven't had anybody. I mean, I've had a couple of people like, think that it didn't need to go that way. And I'm like, well, that's not up to you. You weren't at the table when the decision was made.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I think most people, like if I had somebody come up to me when I had a miscarriage and start talking to me and they've never had one and like I know how you feel, or when they've had a loved one die of cancer, I think people get it better
Yeah.
when it does come from somebody who this is life experience, this is walked experience.
Mhm.
So I don't even know that you have to kind of go that it's edgy. I think it's just life.
Yeah.
And I think more people that can relate to that than they can some sort of, and there's nothing wrong with people who've had a pristine life, got saved at 5, grew up, waited in purity till marriage, have been
Mhm.
married for 50 years and they're fabulous, right? And they've led a
Mhm.
bunch of people to the Lord. That is real. That's very real. It's those of us who've made some brokenness and some choices that haven't led to that path. And I think we need to know that each other isn't alone. So
Yeah.
I like that a lot. I did not get a screener. I did get the trailer, and I
Okay.
would absolutely love the screener. And I do want to ask right now, and then my producer can know to insert it. Can we insert the trailer into this when this podcast episode when it comes out? Are
Yeah.
you
Sure.
okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. Sure.
I assume the version I got he can use, but we'll figure it out. But I think that would be awesome because then we can just
Yeah.
collab with you and that just gets it out there more.
Yeah.
Now, this is a series, so where is it going to be?
Right now, it's going to be on Amazon and a platform called Tubi. Pretty sure
Oh,
everybody's aware of
uh-huh.
Tubi right now, and it's another called Plex. Eventually, it'll be a Roku, and we're pitching it to some other platforms like Paramount and Peacock, and LG Network. A few other platforms is being pitched to right now, so hopefully we can secure licensing for those here very soon. But yeah, I deal with a distribution network that's kind of like cutting out the middleman. They kind of do everything. I bring it and they pitch it and secure the licensing, and that's just kind of how I like it. That's the joy of independent filmmaking. You don't have to go through a middleman if you don't want to, and that just keeps the suits from saying, "Hey, we want you to have this type of material," or "Hey." So I just love that creative freedom. I don't want to like I have no desire no matter how far this takes me to go Hollywood per se.
Like sell it to
Yeah,
DreamWorks or something. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I just want if I find somebody who's a good partner who allows me to keep my voice without wanting to do this and that, hey, the possibilities are there. But yeah, I just want to keep my voice. I want to keep my ownership. That way, I know what I'm putting out there is authentic and real, without being having to be, sliced down or watered down for whatever reasons
So
to
to
get
make
the
it
content out there.
mainstream or whatever,
Exactly.
yeah. That's
Exactly.
what I was told. I at first I had writing coaches. One was he's a pretty famous author, and then a lady he worked with, and both of them told me, please don't look at self-publishing as a step down
Hmm.
because traditional publishing has some good stuff, but it also, they said, would have told me, you can't use that cover, you can't use that title, you can't do X, Y, and Z. And I said, no, that's what I've been given. And they go, well, traditional publishers are going to tell you because they're kind of haughty in their space and they think they know
Hmm.
better. And they're going to tell you you can't do any of that. And I'm like, well, then I'm a self publisher for life.
Hey, yeah, and especially nowadays with the internet and like you yourself, you're creating a platform of followers. You're creating and taking power over your own platforms. So nowadays, being a self publisher or like even myself, self distribution is not as scary as it was in the '90s, where you kind of needed to get. I mean, it's almost a free for all now. You can kind of get out there and just make content and get it out there to your own audience. So hey, I'm always a proponent of self distribution and just doing it yourself and getting your work out there by yourself.
and
Yeah,
and not having somebody step in and who thinks they know better because
yeah,
as we've seen in so many things and it might be controversial subject matter, but like Sound of Freedom or some of these others that they're going out, they're sticking to their voice,
Hmm.
and they're ending up with an audience that you just know
Hmm.
if they had tried to do it through Hollywood or whatever, that they would have said, "Oh, you can't X, Y, or Z." And I just love it. I think we're over and over proving them wrong. The Chosen is proving them wrong,
Yeah.
House of David, some other things. And I know yours aren't you leaning into religious and like being based on scripture, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying,
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of doors opening up that show that a lot more of us are either seeking or have a relationship with Jesus, and we need some stuff. We need you to keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so how many is this just going to be an ongoing or is it going to be seasons? Is it going to be episodes? Is it going to be just a long form content? How does that break out for? And let me make sure I get the House for the Broken
Hmm.
is the name of the series, right? Okay.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, this is going to be my goal is to keep this to be as long as the audience wants it. I have the foundation for it to continue going as many seasons as it takes. So these actors and everybody, they know that if especially if the response to the first season is great, we're just gonna continue with the season two. So everybody is pretty much familiar with that. Doing a series format, especially independent filmmaking, like most of the actors here, um, they have just like me. We got jobs and everything too. So a lot of the risk of doing a series is that we have to shoot everything out of order or by location. So that's a stressor in itself because it could be like even on this series here, some of the scenes in later episodes we shot first because we only had access to a certain location for a certain period of time. So shooting that way, if something happens to a certain actor or something happens to a certain location before you finish the entire series because you're shooting out of order, it can throw the entire thing off. So
Oh,
you
sure.
you're always dealing with that stressor of hoping nothing critically happens because it can almost derail an entire series like that. So yeah, just trying to get that to where we can ensure that we're able to film it and keep it going without something catastrophic happening that throws the entire series off. But yeah, I have a good group on this series. I was fortunate to have some great talent, some great people to help on the crew side, and everybody's all in for it. So that's my goal is to continue this going, and also with some more works, I plan to have some movies and some short form content through my company that just continues to to spread the gospel in unique ways. That's just my goal with this series and my company. Is just to use cinema to minister. That's basically how it is in the name. I call it Cinema Ministry Productions, and as literal a term as can be for a production company because that's how I plan on using my art form.
And do you put yourself in? Are you like M. Night Shyamalan? Do you have a little cameo? Or are you in any of your episodes?
I usually tell people if you see me in the movie or the series, something very terribly wrong happened. Like
Oh,
somebody didn't show up and I just had to. But yeah, I try my best absolutely not to get in front of that camera. I do not enjoy being in front of the camera. My space is behind the camera, ensuring that the vision comes to life. So yeah, I've had to do it before, and I always tell people like, if you see me in front of the camera, something happened for me to be there.
that's hilarious. I've had on other actors and producers and people who've created cinema what do you companies,
Yeah,
I don't even know that that's the right term for it. You guys
yeah,
don't necessarily call it that, but whatever. And they are so fun because they have to kind of pull from, they don't have all the money in the world, and they're
mhm,
not going to get not that Robert De Niro would want to do that, but whatever. You're just not going to be getting those actors. But you know what? I think for the most part, for me, I think that's awesome. I
Yeah.
think the fact that we don't really know everybody who's in the House of David
Hmm.
keeps us from being distracted. If Brad Pitt was playing David, we'd be all like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So they've all had, and then wherever they are in the country, as like their, locations, like you said, are the where are you at anyway?
I'm in West Tennessee. I reside in Jackson, Tennessee, but we shot pretty much all over West Tennessee. Jackson, Tennessee is right between Memphis and Nashville. We're the city between the two big cities. So that's where a lot of this show was shot. We shot in Memphis. We went to Atlanta. So we travel a little bit with our productions. A lot of times is we're we have to go where the locations are. Everybody's not very friendly, especially when it comes to productions, because when you think of a film production, hey, they're shooting a movie. First thing that goes to most people's minds is the big cranes and 100 people
Mm,
walking around, which is not the case, especially with an indie production. We can't afford that much stuff going on. So usually, my sets. My wife helps as a assistant director and a producer. I have a sound guy and two other guys who help behind sets. So usually, and I had another lady who was a script supervisor. So my sets generally are less than 6 people on crew. And then it's been times where it was just me and one other person. So I'm used to working like that and yet keeping the quality high to where you can't tell.
sure.
Because I've just got a system to the way I work, and I'm able to film with a network of talented individuals. I would say like over here on this side of Tennessee, we have a nice little film community that's tight knit and just a lot of talented individuals to where I don't feel the need to have to always cast out or go this and that, and I just feel comfortable hiring local because we just have the talent to do so and not risk quality or talent in any way. So I'm kind of fortunate in that aspect to where I feel like when people see this series that they talent acting won't be distracting because a lot of the complaints with a lot of faith-based content is the talent, sometimes the storyline, the quality. So I feel like a lot of those boxes are checked with House for the Broken to where you can just actually focus on the content, focus on the series without like, "Ooh, well, that performance was terrible," or this and that, and it distracted you from what you need to be looking at.
Right. You want to get drawn in. You want
Yeah,
the focus not to necessarily be whether this person's going to get an Academy Award, but
yeah,
whether the point is getting across.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
cool. Yeah, one of the I had a young man on named Wilson Hickman, and he's doing a series, and he was at all those series, like whatever, kind of like Sundance Film Festival, but for more faith-based, right?
yeah,
But he's in Tennessee as well, and so a lot of his is like Narnia meets Lord of the Rings, so
yeah,
it's kind of like fantasy meets faith.
yeah,
And but Tennessee seems like it's quite a hub for several of the people that I've had on that are doing TV series or movies, and I think that's awesome that a community has developed itself and that you have resources that are quality. And I
yeah,
wouldn't want to pick on anybody. I'm thrilled if somebody is willing to get the story of my King Jesus out there, but
mhm,
it is hard to get people to be drawn in if we're just making movies to make movies and we're just not worried at all
yeah, yeah, yeah,
about the
yeah,
storyline or any of that. So
yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, and I was going to say that I believe that's why a lot of the productions that you mentioned are so popular. Like when you look at shows like The Chosen or House of David, like the quality is Hollywood level. Like it looks great, it sounds great, the acting is great. So you don't have to sacrifice quality or say, oh well, it's just a faith based. You don't have to give them that that
Yeah,
that pass. You can really enjoy the content and enjoy it for what it is because the quality is so high. So you're starting to see a lot of Bible based media start to really shock people when it comes to
Yes.
quality. It's what I'm noticing it because it wasn't that way. I would see a faith-based movie and instantly cringe. It used to be that bad back in the day, but
Yes,
now,
it
yeah,
was.
yeah, you
Want to get on board because you'd like something besides all the horror and the
yeah,
murder and the whatever sex out there.
yeah,
But man, it's like, I think I'll read a book.
yeah. I have better things to do with my time. Yeah.
Well, and if you could, I'm old, but if you look back, way back when I was
Yeah,
young, like I remember in elementary school reading The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
yeah,
And then I remember like a few years later, like this very cartoonish, whatever version. So it was awful. So
yeah.
then we go through my whole life. My daughter's born, and then they come out with the most recent one. And
Mhm.
I was like, this is what, CGI
Yeah,
and some of this, and none of those actors. I mean, Liam Neeson was the voice of Aslan, but like none of the actors were well known.
yeah,
And yet, and it was beautiful. It was perfect. It was what I saw in my brain when I read the book, right?
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, it's come a long way, baby.
Yeah, a long way, and yeah, that can only be beneficial because people will start, because you used to hear faith based and be like, oh no, you wouldn't even give it a shot. So now I think people are starting to kind of give it more open view. I was looking at comments. I think it was The Chosen the other day, and you kind of see unbelievers even watching now because
Yes,
they're so intrigued by it. So that's only a plus. That can
absolutely.
always be a plus. Yeah.
Absolutely. If it makes somebody go on there, and even the people who are nitpicking, right?
Mhm.
Even the people who are going on there and saying, the Bible doesn't say that. And he says over and over, Dallas does, that
Yeah.
no, we are not, this is not a Bible story. This is
Yeah.
this is the life of, Jesus. And
Yeah.
yes, it's based off of the synoptic gospels, but it's
Yeah.
not like we're sitting here and acting out every line of scripture.
Yeah.
But I love that because the old saying, no press is bad press to a
Yeah.
degree if it causes people, like you said, to think, to use their own brain and not. I mean, we have a plethora of false teachers out there, and so it's scary. So we
Yeah.
do want some good sources. And so when you said it's on Amazon, but that's coming in July, is that what I understand?
Yes, the licensing opens up July 22nd.
Okay.
So it should start being available around July 22nd. Um, the I've been telling folks around that week, a little after we start expecting the show. We have a premiere for the show the 25th, so I'm expecting by the 25th, hopefully that this show should start posting and being available for people to view. And yeah, I'm just excited for it. I want to see the responses to it. I had a little private screening, just trying to get some thoughts and feedback about the show, and a lot of people were like, "Man, we haven't seen anything um this authentic," and that's just my goal with this show, because a lot of people in the faith, they come and they have this perception because partially it's because some old media has is guilty of that. They have this perception that you come to the faith and you never see trouble again and this and that. So you kind of get this false sense of the faith to where I just kind of want to give it to people real.
Right.
You don't want it to be all Disney and cheesed up. You just want to give it to people real, and that's the compliment that I got from a lot of people. So I'm just looking forward to seeing how audiences perceive the work and go from there. And hopefully I'm on the right track with my thinking on how to produce these projects.
Well, I think from the trailer, yes. And I absolutely, if somebody can if you're still willing to send me the screener, I would love to see that.
Okay.
But I just think from the trailer, I couldn't agree more. And
Yeah.
I'm excited for it. I do have a subscription on Amazon for something called Wonder.
Hmm.
And they're not all faith-based, but they're at least not all like just raunch and just oppressive. Like it's
Yeah.
some of it's so negative. It's just like I can't watch it anymore. I don't even
Yeah.
have regular TV anymore. I don't have direct TV or
Yeah.
anything like that because I
Yeah.
want to select for myself.
Yeah.
So I will absolutely be willing to like put this out there, share the trailer, share whatever you'd like shared,
Okay.
and I'd be happy to go in and comment. I just am excited about it because I keep binge watching the ones that I do like that I feel like
Yeah.
are in there too, and
Yeah.
I run out because there's
Yeah.
not enough of you out there. We need some more, right?
Yeah.
But I'm very much looking forward to it, and I pray that it will lead to multiple seasons because I do think you're going to speak to the heart of what a lot of people are going through.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that, wonderful, happy Christian lives that seem like they've kind of float along aren't great, but
Yeah.
most of us,
Yeah.
that isn't the case because that isn't what Jesus promised. He didn't
Yeah.
promise that when we got saved there was puppies and rainbows.
Yeah.
We still have to grow to be like him, which means we're going to have to go through it. We're going to have to share in his sufferings, and
Yeah.
that's just the truth of it. So,
Yeah.
I'm looking very much forward to it coming out. And I thank you for coming here today and
Mhm.
sharing with class. And I do have one last thing I ask every guest
Okay.
is what is one little nugget that you wish someone had told you or that you had learned sooner?
Is it regards to just life or faith?
Just whatever. I had one lady say compound interest. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Uh, I would say that I had known sooner. That is a great question. Uh,
I like catching people off guard. I'll give you
yeah.
a reprieve to think.
Yeah.
Some people think some of my guests have said, I wish you would have sent that to me sooner, but I kind of like just it being whatever pops in your head, right?
Yeah. I would, you know, because when I think of that, everything that I wish I had have known sooner, I was told already in a way. A lot of things, either a elder or somebody would tell you this, but you kind of just like, wow, you don't know what you're talking about. You're old. If anything, I'd be like, listen to those people. That's
Okay.
because a lot of the
And that's not a
wisdom, yeah,
bad nugget, right?
yeah,
Because
yeah, I would say that.
it drives me crazy when we sit here and say, "Oh, they're 2 years old. That's the terrible twos. They're allowed to act like that."
Yeah,
Oh, they're 18. They're going to hate their parents and think they don't know
yeah,
anything, but they'll come back when they're 21. And I'm thinking, why do we set everybody up
yeah,
for a certain kind of way to act?
yeah,
We don't, why do we accept that?
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
So I agree. But all of us have done it. All of us have looked at
yeah.
old people and said, "You're just trying to kill my good time."
Yeah, and they had invaluable wisdom that now if you had to listen, it would have saved you a headache.
A lot of
Yeah.
headaches. Well,
Yeah.
you are delightful, and I absolutely can't wait. I know that you are listening to the Lord, you're fulfilling his calling and purpose for you, and so
Mhm.
that can only mean some great things going forward. And I just pray for many, many seasons of what you have going on and maybe even into some movies and things.
Mhm.
I'm a fan. If you're doing crowdfunding or anything like that when you do your movies, that same young man I talked about earlier, he was doing some. I
Mhm.
am more than happy to, put that out there, help you promote that. So,
Okay.
just keep me posted.
Okay.
Do you have a website where maybe I can sign up for a newsletter to see when things are coming or
Yes, my website is www.cinemaministry.com.
okay, perfect.
Yeah, and there's
Oh,
there's
I
a
do have that
spot
as
on
your
there.
link.
Yes, and it's a spot on there to sign up for our mailing list, and when the show goes live or whenever we have something going on, we'll push out a little newsletter to the subscribers on there and let them know, and they'll be the first to know.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, I have a lot of up through like September kind of situated, but I think honestly,
Hmm.
knowing when the timing of it coming out is, I think I may slot you in as a bonus episode in mid-July so that people can get ready and be on the lookout. So I think
Okay.
that's what we'll try to do. It
Okay.
has been wonderful getting to chat with you. I was fascinated when Frontgate Media sends me all these opportunities, and sometimes there's some people they represent that can be, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. A little, little rough
So
around the edges.
I do a poor girl's background check and look at all of y'all out there and then decide. But you've lived up to the hype, sir, and I really appreciate you coming today.
All right. I thank you for having me on. It's an honor.
Well, thank you for coming to class today. I hope you enjoyed hearing about what Jaron has going on and where you can go check out his stuff on YouTube. It's going to be on Amazon. It's going to be everywhere. And we'll have the trailer inside this episode as well, so that you can get a glimpse of what's going on and then go to his website and sign up for emails so that you can know when the premiere is happening, when the series is coming out, and dive right in. And he would love to hear your feedback. I would too. So if you want to comment either on this episode or go and comment on his YouTube channel or any of his connection locations that are in the show notes, he would love to know that you are enjoying what's going on and how he can go ahead and have, multiple seasons to come because you're enjoying what he has going on. So thank you so much for coming to class today, and class dismissed.